Victory on the Oroku Peninsula meant the opening of Naha Harbor. Dredging operations and reconstruction began immediately. With enemy resistance collapsing, the harbor became a critical supply base for continued operations. Across the Asato River, a Bailey Bridge stood as a monument to the work of the 6th Engineer Battalion. It was one of the longest Bailey bridges constructed by the Marine Corps during the war. Built under fire, it linked Naha to the Oroku Peninsula, keeping men and supplies moving forward. The battle continued. U.S. 10th Army divisions pressed south against the final Japanese defensive line centered around Yaeju Dake Mabuni. Progress was slow and costly. The 6th Marine Division moved into position opposite the rugged heights near Mabuni Ridge. The 22nd Marines led the assault. On June 17th, the attack began. The terrain was brutal, a jagged mass of coral rock. The enemy was almost invisible, firing from caves, crevices, and hidden positions. By late afternoon, the Marines had seized the ridge and pushed beyond its reverse slope. Ahead of them lay the final objective. They could now sense the end. Beyond the ridges lay the sea. Behind a wall of artillery fire, the advance continued. The Marines crossed successive ridgelines under intense resistance. Flamethrowers and tanks were used to eliminate the last enemy strongholds. Even the final patches of vegetation were burned away. On June 21st, elements of the 6th Marine Division reached the cliffs at the southernmost tip of Okinawa. Below the cliffs, scattered enemy forces remained. The final phase began, hunting down remaining resistance, clearing caves, rescuing civilians. From massive cave systems, thousands of Okinawan civilians emerged. They were starving, exhausted, terrified. Many had been trapped underground for weeks. In one operation alone, more than 600 civilians were evacuated from a single cave. Too weak to walk, many had to be carried. Some could barely open their eyes after weeks in darkness. After emergency treatment, refugees were transported to civilian camps. Every day, thousands more emerged. In total, the division processed over 24,000 Okinawan civilians. Each required food, medical care screening, and identification. Despite the devastation the Okinawan people endured, they adapted, worked, and helped rebuild where they could. Even children remained remarkably resilient. Able-bodied men were organized into labor units. After screening by counterintelligence teams, they assisted in rebuilding roads and infrastructure. At the same time, large numbers of prisoners were taken. During the Okinawa campaign, U.S. forces captured more prisoners than in any previous Pacific battle. The 6th Marine Division alone processed over 3,000 prisoners. Among them were the remnants of the Mitsuru Ushijima 32nd Army. For many Okinawans, this was the moment the myth of Japanese invincibility was shattered. Defeated soldiers, exhausted and disillusioned, were transported to prisoner-of-war compounds. There they were, searched. Interrogated, documented intelligence gathered was forwarded to higher command. Their faces told the story. Defeat, shock, disbelief. These were no longer the soldiers of an unstoppable empire. They were survivors of a lost cause. At last, the battle was over. For the second time during the campaign, the 6th Marine Division raised the American flag over Okinawa. First in the north, now in the south. Victory had come, but at a terrible cost. The 6th Marine Division alone suffered over 8,000 casualties during the campaign. More than 1,600 Marines were killed. They were buried near the shores of the East China Sea. These were men who had fought across the Pacific, from jungle campaigns to island assaults to the final battle on Japanese soil. They never saw the end of the war. A day was set aside to honor them. At a formal ceremony, a chaplain offered prayers, commanders paid tribute. Survivors said their final goodbyes. The cost of Okinawa was written in silence.